Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back here, and we are with, for the fourth time on our show, one of the greatest MMA legends in the history of the sport, and of course, a former pro wrestler as well, the one and only Dan the Beast Severn. Sir, thank you so much once again for being on our show.
Well, I appreciate you guys have me on. I need to ask. You said fourth time. Is that a record yet? I'm not that guy that's
Al-
looking to set records in that.
Actually, I think our record
Almost.
is Dime
Yeah,
Dallas Page at 7, to be honest.
yeah, I think Diamond Dallas Page has you beat. He's a regular on the show.
Oh, okay. All right.
So once again, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join us. It's always cool to have you on. We've had some really good interviews with you, and people talk about what you talk about all the time. So they really appreciate that.
Well, I'll tell you what. I was just coming in. I was in. I just came from this trip. I was in Arizona for a few weeks, and then went up to Denver, Colorado for like the last 4 days for an authors event. Yours truly here is up with those exquisite, elegant authors here now, writing a book.
Yes,
And
yes,
that's what I was up there for. And now I'm back at Detroit and headed back to Coldwater.
how is it in Denver and Colorado? Is it really is there a difference in air?
It's colder here.
Yeah.
Right.
Denver it'll get its fair share of snow and stuff like this. There's just kind of ironic, but there's a cold front pulling across. I always tell
Right.
people, it's January, it's Michigan, it's going to be cold, and you're going to have snow. Deal with it.
Yeah. I remember when you first came on our show, you were talking about the book, and so it's very, very cool that we are fully realizing this. Are we not?
Yeah, no, that so far things have been going good. It was my first author's event, so you're sitting there, instead of being in athletic adornment of clothing, here I'm wearing a blazer and rather sophisticated.
And one thing I was checking out is you've embraced the technology of today. You do a lot of Facebook posts.
Oh, no! I don't embrace it whatsoever. I'll say that. I'll just say I reluctantly have to move forward with it because it is the future, and
Yeah.
as I've been told a number of times by my mother, the only constant factor is change. And I go, whoa, and my parents are gone, but certain lines still resonate there with me, and it's kind of going. Now I see myself saying those exact same lines to my own kids and to a lot of other people. If you want to reach people, you really have to get on their cell phones somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. Would things have? Do you think things have would have been different in any way if we would have had Facebook in the '90s? Do you think your career would have had any kind of
Oh,
change?
oh, oh, yeah. Because you got to look at the mixed martial arts, the NHB, the nobles bar portion. It was relatively unknown.
Yeah.
The social media aspect. So I think what was before Facebook. It was something else before that. MySpace, I think it was, and there was
Right.
something before
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But with each, I'll say every, I don't know, what, 4 to 6 months, there's new advancement taking place. You
Yeah.
got all these different Snapchats and
Yeah.
Vines, and I don't even know that most of the terminology, but they kind of going. Even in my database now, I have to put down how to communicate with this person. Some people,
Right.
you can't talk to some people. They only deal with emails. They only deal with
Right.
text messages. Very, very few people have fall in the category of just call this person.
Right.
People don't. But at the same token, this generation that is coming up has some of the worst social skills in the world. They don't know how to
Yes.
look someone in the eye.
Yes.
They don't know how to shake a person's hand.
Yes.
It's horrible. I keep referring to it as the invasion of the Stay Puft Marshmallow generation because they're so weak mentally They're so weak physically.
I resemble that, sir.
Yeah. Well, there's, I mean, there's exceptions to the rules, but as a broad stroke, oh.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because I kid you not. Sometimes when I tell someone to call me, they look at me in a very weird way, like they don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Call
Yeah,
you.
and I was like, send me smoke signals, and I show. It took with them tonto, yes.
Well, not only that, but guys of your generation and also my father's generation, you guys were like manly men. If you were to take someone and put them in the wilderness, they would probably die within 10 minutes today. They couldn't, do anything that you guys did. I look at my father in amazement because he does things like on his own. Like if he needs to buy something, he'll just make it. Like
Yeah.
it's
Well,
just.
I mean, I'll even say the same thing about my own father. My own father was like my siblings. I have 7 other brothers and sisters. We had that both my parents adore, but each time we would roll on his birthday time, stuff like this, we all tell different stories about Dad, or if it's around the time that my mom's birthday. We always tell stories about mom, stuff like that. But when we talk about my father was like the miracle worker. The guy could mechanically do anything and everything. He brought things back to life again and again and again. And I'm thinking, how does a guy that this is the industry he works in, but he can do all these other things? I mean, he's willing to take on electrical work. He's willing to take on plumbing jobs. He's willing to get underneath the hood of the automobile. And thinking, where did you learn this stuff along the way? But you just did everything.
And the other reason I bring up social media is because in today's world, let's say that there's a big fight, the instant reaction that people have now. Back in the day, you couldn't, like, for example, Ronda Rousey loses a fight and the world goes crazy, calling her a loser and all this kind of stuff. They kind of, right now on the internet, they shame you if you, were to lose a fight or something like that. And I wonder about the impact. Do you realize or have you experienced anything like that in social media world? Because it seems to be brutal.
No, because there's certain aspects that I will not even engage a person on it. If someone starts to go, kind of try to come at me in such a way, I'll simply say, "Listen here, you little pencil net geek / keyboard commando. If we were both standing in a cage,
right?
And Big John McCarthy said, 'Let's get it on.'"
And I believe we just lost that. Oh, are you there?
Yeah, I think we lost him.
I think we lost him. That's awesome. The last time we did this, by the way, there was a snowstorm, but there is no snowstorm right now. So
it might be in Michigan, to be honest.
We're going to try to get him back here, and as soon as we'll just keep talking. This is live, so
yeah.
That's the bottom line. He's coming from the airport. Also, he might strangle us. So there's also that. We're back.
What happened? It was. I was on the road there. I was. I don't think my cell phone could handle what was coming across the airways.
Listen, you got your own cell phone to be scared of you.
Yeah, I know, but to get back what you said. When people are taking pot shots at you via social media, stuff like this, I go, what a cowardly way. You want to say something, let's stand mano a mano, and let's see if you have the balls to say it now.
But sir, that you know, sir, that 90 or 95% won't do that. I mean,
No. I know. You give too much credit. I would have was a 99.9% would not say
that's true.
Or do anything like that. But
the reason
there's something about that they can hide behind whatever name they want to call themselves or something like this. That's just a cowardly way out.
It's just the reason I bring it up is because it seems to affect athletes or professional entertainers in a more profound way these days. People have breakdowns. For example, once again, Ronda Rousey, it seems to have a mentally affected the social media stuff, the bombardment of negativity, calling them losers and whatnot. It seems to have affected a lot of people mentally,
Yeah.
and this would never have been seen in the '90s or the early 2000s.
Yeah, no, honestly, it would never have affected me. It still won't even affect me now. Whenever someone,
Oh no, I
people
know.
or the client would jump on there in the first place, even now, I had, and guys, it's because of my background. You
Yeah.
gotta realize when I was doing my amateur wrestling, America was not a very light country. We represented so many things that so many countries were envious of, that they hated us.
Yes,
And I did a lot of travel. I would be on foreign soil, going against one of their athletes, and so I'm being booed the whole 9 yards. And I learned to tune them out. There's
right.
only my opponent and myself. There's not, obviously there's a referee supposed to be out there as well, but I even was so good I could tune out the referee because he was usually from their country in the first place, and he's going to be trying to screw me over on the points and calling stalling and things that aren't happening, but he's going to say that just to kind of mess with me during the course of the match.
Exactly.
I mean, your
And
book your book really
yeah.
put it out well. I mean, you definitely are the realest guy, and people would just look at you and just talking to you. You are what you are. I mean, you're Dan Severn. Your name's pretty much just enough to describe you.
And that not only that,
Yeah.
but the like JBL says, the great ones make it look easy. And you certainly
Yeah.
have done that throughout your entire career. What's interesting about your career is that from the start all the way till even now, you still have that aura about you. People have a reverence when they talk about Dan Severn. Do you feel that when you meet people in person that they understand the magnitude of what your stature is?
No, no. When I say that, I don't. I take this the right way, guys. I don't really think no one truly understands yet what I have done in my career of
Yes.
40 some odd years of competition. You
Right.
have, you guys are talking about like Ronda Rousey. Okay,
Right.
how many matches has she done in MMA altogether?
I believe 13.
Okay, that's okay. I just only because you guys brought it up. You can throw out another larger life thing there, like a Brock Lesnar. I think he's
Right.
done 9. He did 9.
Right.
In
And he
in,
wasn't
in
he
what?
wasn't very
In
good at it either.
9 in 5 years he did 9 matches.
Right.
That was 9 matches in 1 year was a slow year for me.
Right.
Matter of fact, I'd have to. I would almost challenge us to go back to see did I ever do that little in 1 year. No, I mean, I'm not trying to say it to be
No,
rude anyone. I'm just saying that as a matter of factly, I go, you, no one will understand what I did because I was doing 2 professions simultaneously. I was working for the WWF while, non-exclusive contract, so I could work for anybody. WCW, ECW existed. I'm jumping in cages for the UFC and for any other company because I'm not exclusive to the UFC either.
right. And
There were times, guys, when I would wake up in the morning and wonder where am I at and what is my function today? Am I a cage fighter tonight? Am I going to be a professional wrestler? Am I going to walk on the mat and teach a law enforcement class? I mean, literally, that was the crazy type of schedule I was leading for a while.
Was that ever like when you were like in that mode and then you got into the wrestling ring, let's say for example, were you ever concerned that you would hurt one of the wrestlers in a legitimate way? Because
No,
sometimes, so you could break that
no,
easily.
no. I was good about that. It actually all through my career. I only, sometimes people always ask me, well, do you think any of these guys would ever try to challenge it? And I said, I hope they don't, because that's not what the professionals in the industry is. We're going to put on a physical entertainment product. That's what
Right.
professional wrestling is. But I did have one guy actually attempted once out in California. All I know is I did the power bomb from hell on him, and that's where the match ended.
Well,
When he tried to shoot, go ahead.
No, what I was gonna say is the reason I bring that up is because a lot of people like on ESPN or one of these shows, they say that in order for you to be in UFC or MMA, you have to be fully committed. In other words, they were trying to again to bring up Rondo. They were trying to say that she was part-time actor, part-time MMA, and that's why her mind wasn't fully committed. And but when it comes to you, you were doing two things at once, and it didn't seem to affect you whatsoever.
Okay, let me take it one step further. I only did two training camps in a 20-year span. Think
Right.
about that one. I teach classes at my training facility, but teaching a class and training are two different things. Teach a class, you try to keep it upbeat. You want people to come back.
Right.
So you always try to finish. You always want to try to finish on a strong note, a very positive type of note. Uh, there are so many. I deal with predominantly young men at my training facility. They talk an awful lot, but you simply know that there's no backbone, there's no fiber to them.
Right.
So, but if you could slowly, it's kind of like like if you're sticking your big toe in the water to find out just what temperature it is. So if I could slowly bring them along like that, they'll realize more and more.
Right.
So.
Absolutely. I mean, it seems that that seems like such a mindset, a big fat mindset that you have to have to enter an octagon where that there's a possibility that you're going to get hit in the face or whatnot, and that seems to be an incredible thing to achieve, and you certainly have achieved that in stripes, and that's something that people should know more about, and that's why we've had you several times, because I think
Yeah.
you're one of the standard bearers in that regard.
For some big ocean, I think I'm the gold ring that all MMA competitors should be striving for. I mean, you realize, I've probably said before, I'll probably be redundant here again, but there's only four people in the world that have over 100 cage fights. I'm one of the four. There's only
Right.
three in the world that have over 100 victories. I'm one of the three. But the ironic part is I faced the other three, defeated the other three, and the closest one to my age is 15 years my junior. So to me, I'm in a category all by myself.
Yeah.
I'm lifetime chemical free. That makes me a freakosaurus. Most of the guys that go on, especially in the earlier segment, they're not awesome. I can't say that. That's kind of broad stroke, but steroids and growth hormones are used a whole lot more than they are.
Right.
The shame.
I'll just say that they're still being utilized, but they're a little bit sharper about what they're doing.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, they have to be, because everybody's watching them now.
Yeah.
But that's why I'll make comments like that because I'm proud of that. I didn't sell out to go
Right.
the chemical route because I do a lot of speaking with different various groups, whether it be at the high schools and junior highs, whether it be for bullying or the importance of education. And I'm actually holding my skills now for the corporate speaking world. And because I'm not, when you look at me, you don't see the worn, torn face. You don't see the cauliflower ears. You don't see the broken nose.
Right.
Or scary stuff like this. I've weathered the storm well. I'll say for now, time will tell. And the only reason I say it like that is because Muhammad Ali left the ring fully intact. It wasn't until years later that things
Right.
kind of came unraveled for him. So I'll say that for now, I look like I weathered the storm well. Time will tell. I hope to be around from about 125.
And you
That's certainly possible nowadays. That's for sure.
and you were saying
Well, I
like
think it is.
Yeah, I think it is. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Sean.
and you were saying it was just weathering the storm. It sounds like because there was already talks last year about you facing the Sham, as you call him, Ken Shamrock, but it sounds like you were planning for one more fight.
He did not get he did not get a Christmas card out of me this year.
You're saying you're going to do.
I don't know if you're aware, but we did have Shamrock a couple of months ago, and he, obviously was making. We asked him all kinds of stuff, and he wouldn't give us a straight answer as to why he was somewhat ducking you, I guess is the best term to use. According to him, he had medical issues. That's what he said, and that you were using that as an excuse.
Yeah, yeah.
Basically, I don't.
I think his medical issue was something about shrinkage of the testicles and maybe 18 valving back spine. Yes, I think those were
Yeah.
spineless and testicular.
But very quickly, now in your teachings, do you ever address bullying? Because in all seriousness, that seems to be a massive epidemic. And do you ever speak to people about? I don't want to say stop bullying, but in terms of like how to defend yourself against something like that, does that ever come up in
Yeah,
any?
well, I mean, no, it's still bullying is still around, but it's taken on more in the cyber world again. You got people again that take a pot shot.
Yes,
But
yes,
you got to realize that young people, their emotions are a lot more vulnerable. They haven't been exposed to the longer that you've been around in life, like a moi here, I've been around long enough to know that most people suck. Okay,
yes, yes, absolutely.
so I go with that conclusion until they can prove me wrong.
Right.
So it's yeah. Do I do talking with them about it? Yes, I do. And a lot of it is don't be jumping on that in the first place. You will only ever have a few true friends in your entire life.
Right.
You can count the number of true friends on one hand and have fingers left over.
Exactly.
There's lots of people who will merely be acquaintances along the path of life. That's it. Other people that there might be a coworker, it might be whatever, just that you learn to simply just you learn to tolerate.
Right. I
So
just
like I said,
yeah.
even during, I'll give you a perfect example. In my high school career, I would go by season by season. In the fall, I played football, so I had my football buddy. In the winter time, I wrestled. I had my wrestling family and my wrestling buddy. In the spring, it was track and field, and I had my track and field buddies. But even then, the track coach would always be upset with me because he said, "Do that." I did track just to stay in cardiovascular shape for freestyle and Greco-Roman wrestling, and he knew that if there was a meet on a Saturday, and if there was a wrestling tournament on that same Saturday, he knew I was not going to be at the track meet, and it would upset him because I was always making points for the team because I threw the shot, I threw the discus, and I also did high and low hurdles.
Right.
We were talking actually right at the beginning of the show. Joey said former professional wrestler, and now we can't really say that anymore because you got back in the ring after you really looked like you became 40 again. What's it really like being back in the ring, considering you were an MMA fighter and then transitioning, but now you're an MMA fighter, pro wrestler from the 20-year-ago age, and now wrestlers are doing such more high-flying and jumping around type things compared to then?
Well, I mean, I guess the first part of what you guys were saying there, who was it that just jumped back in?
Sean.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I mean, it's just each person's a little bit different as to how how their body is held up to the professional. I've been hurt worse in my professional wrestling career than I have been in all my cage fights combined. As I stated that comment earlier, that it's a physical entertainment product, and you're telling the story, and you're filling a window of time. It could be a 5-minute match, it could be a 10, 20-minute match. But that means it's a match of give and take. You're grabbing each other, and you maybe headlock takeovers, maybe pick up some body slams, maybe some European uppercuts, some forearms to back. People realize that sound you're hearing, that's impact.
Yeah.
And each time it is impact and or blunt force trauma to the body.
Right.
And what about, just really compare, like you recently were working at CIW and with a good friend of mine, Jack Price. like it really compares your style of wrestling to the younger guys with their flippity doodads. What do you really think of the new style of everyone doing flips and jumping over the top rope, front flips, and all that crazy crud?
Well, I refer to the flyers. You're looking at you don't talk about a wrestler that would fall into the category of being a flyer.
Yeah.
That they refer to more specific wrestler. I'm actually going to do wrestling holds. I'm going to I'm not going to delete my feet like that. I refer, if you actually watch the careers, flyers' careers are not near as long as scientific wrestlers because you're doing a lot of leaps of faith. You're hoping that your partner or those group of people are going to catch you properly.
Right.
Because if they don't do their job, you're going to get hurt. The number one, because professionalism is one of the things I teach, and I always say rule number one of professional wrestling is you protect me, I protect you. And I that is there because
Did we lose him again?
I believe we did. He is on the road.
Yeah, it's true. I've made that drive from Detroit to Coldwater before. It's not good drive at all.
Why would you make that drive?
I live in Michigan. I mean,
can you believe that guy? Each time I start talking about the millennials, somehow I get a drop call. I think somebody's listening in, and it's using some of this science that we've been talking about, and it's cutting me off.
It's those millennial bastards. But you've obviously done a very good job of transitioning to both the MMA world and the wrestling world. I don't know if we've ever asked you this, but if by some chance the WWE were to call you and ask you about the Hall of Fame, would that mean anything to you?
Would it? Sure would.
Okay.
I've been asked the question before. For example, should I be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame? And should I be? Oh, compared to some of the people that they have inducted, oh yeah,
Right.
Based on some of the people they had to pass. But at the same token, yes, just because of what I represented, it's something other ways of what I did with the NWA, what I did with the UFC,
Right.
being a crossover athlete, how I conducted myself while I was under contract with them.
Exactly. Because a lot of guys that get inducted, it's not so much, just because of the WWE stuff. It's like a lifetime achievement award, basically. It's what you've done in your lifetime, and that's what I would assume if you were to be inducted, that it would include your MMA, your Greco-Roman, the crossover thing, like you just said. I don't think people really truly understand that. But also, the other reason I asked is because we've asked, countless wrestlers about this, and a lot of people always have different answers. A lot of people try to downplay, like, well, it wouldn't mean anything. I would go because it's an appearance and whatnot. But, I just wonder if it would actually mean something to you.
No, it does. I mean, well, okay, guys, you don't know this, but I have been inducted in, I'll bet, 20 some odd different Hall of Fames.
Right.
A lot of them are martial arts. The very first one was for my collegiate alma mater, Arizona State University. So, I mean, there are some of the Hall of Fames that mean a whole lot more to me than some of the others.
Right.
But anytime that people want to honor you or to acknowledge you, I think that's probably a better way to say it.
Yes.
Acknowledge you for what you have done, how you have been as a performer, or how you have impacted an industry. You should be happy about that kind of stuff.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
it's I am about that. It's I just with the variety of things that I do, I'm gonna be yet another Hall of Fame. I kind of like to talk about this. I'll be at another Hall of Fame induction, I believe, in March in Lima, Ohio.
Oh, that's amazing. Who would induct you if that were the case
For that one, well,
for WWE?
oh, I have no idea who I would actually talk to about something like that. I know that. Well, give me, for example, this event I'm talking about that's coming up. It's a professional wrestling Hall of Fame,
Right.
and in Lima, Ohio, it's an organization that they work out of there, and that is actually Lima, Ohio is where I did start my professional wrestling training at Al Snow's gym known as Body Slammers. He doesn't own it anymore, but
Right.
that's where I started on up. But it was a gentleman by the name of Denny. His ring name was Denny Katz,
Right.
and because the people that would be head over to Lima, Ohio for, they wanted to know who would be a good person to be the preserve to me. And I said, well, the person that brought me there in the first place, I said would be Denny Katz, obviously.
Right.
But the sad part is Denny Katz has passed away in the
Oh.
last 30 days. Okay,
Wow.
but even worse. Okay, but even worse yet, Denny Katz is exactly my same age.
Wow.
So the fact that he passed away in sleep, and at such it's all perspective. At such a young age,
Right.
it just kind of boggled my mind that happened. And so now I'm kind of lost as to who do I ask now, because that was the person I was going to talk to. So I need to contact this promoter to say, I'm kind of in a pickle here right now.
Right. Right. During, I don't know if we've also asked this, but during your WWE run, which was, for me, it was memorable because it was, I remember almost every match and every segment that you were in. Was there anybody that you personally wanted to work with that you never got to during that time period?
Well, I mean, honestly, because it's the wacky world of professional wrestling, I'm open-minded, knowing that I could be working with any and everybody, and because that's what has to happen. But knowing that there's, when you look at it from a business perspective and the storylines, you got it's professional wrestling is a 3-week circus with a side freak show. You got several
Right.
storylines going because the odds are somebody's going to get hurt somewhere along the way.
Right.
And if you put all your eggs in one basket, and one of the guys got hurt, that kills off a major storyline for it. But if you have several different things, that's what they always have going, several different storylines going, if something happens, well, the show goes on.
Right. Well, I definitely, we've mentioned this 1,000 times, but one of my favorite things was your theme song, which I loved and still have on my iPod to this very day, actually. It was a badass theme song. I just thought like that, it just exemplified, your character in the wrestling world. And when you heard it, it was very, very, at that time, I think one of the most underrated theme songs of that period, honestly, because we still use it to this day. It is an amazing theme. Did you ever like that theme song?
Well, no, a lot of people said that they liked it because I guess Howard kind of was like this old type of music and stuff like this.
Yes.
I listened to it. I thought it was good, but then they took it. It's not like I listened to any of the other wrestlers' music
Right.
before. I always tell people that, ironically, when I was on the independent scene, and they're like, because at that time they're like, you had to break your music with you. And I never really travel with music. And they're like, well, what kind of music do you have to play? I go, well, just put on some kind of old hard rock and roll. I go, that's good enough there for me. I go, just don't be playing like Tiny Tim's Toe to the Tulips. I go, that would not go over all that well with me. So, but anything else I'm probably okay with.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have worked if you came out to Boy George or something like that.
Yeah, or it's Rainy Min or something. Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Now I want to see that.
I don't think so. Yeah. I wouldn't be walking out the ring. I'd be skipping, wouldn't I? Yeah.
That would be incredible just to watch. But you
But okay, but you guys are laughing though. But as I said earlier, I train professional wrestlers,
right,
and the
right,
thing is, I'm a very creative person. I have a very abstract, crazy mind at times.
right.
And I mean, like a lot of people say, well, so does Ric Flair, but mine's are crazy in a different way, okay? But I'm very creative, and after I've been around a person for a while, I come up with some pretty good TV characters for them.
Right.
What's to me the state of professionals right now is there is a lack of characters.
Yes.
Everyone is almost like cookie cutter clones of each other. They always try to be this storyteller person. No, you need some characters. You need some hooded people. You need some, you more. It's
I think
not,
the
it's
I
not animated enough.
right.
Yeah.
I think the last time period of that is the '80s, where you had legitimate iconic characters. Now I don't know if you're aware, but now for business to be booming, they have to bring back older stars.
Yeah.
You know, to show that they haven't really created any megastars of today. That they have to go back into the well and kind of crank out the Hogans and the Goldbergs and the Lesnars and stuff like that. So it's definitely very lacking in
Yep.
massive characters. But
So totally agree with you, Jonathan.
about so Sean, you were just mentioning about a fight that he was
Yeah,
gonna
you.
have.
Well, not necessarily you were going to have that. You were saying, at least in the press release we got, that you were going to do perhaps one more MMA fight. And we've had you on the program before, and you said there were three guys that you wanted to fight. Two of them are still active, Royce Gracie and Ken
Right.
Shamrock. Are you going to be
Yeah.
fighting one of them this year then?
Oh, yeah, honestly, I really doubt it.
Oh.
Not that I wouldn't do it. It's just that I'm not going to waste my time anymore pursuing either one of those lame ducks.
Right.
I've had my conversation. I'm willing to do it, but I'm not going to sit there and beg somebody at this point in time.
Right.
I just my life is going on. I jumped back into promotions. I reignited my own professional wrestling company, POG, Price of Glory. I reignited my old MMA company, Danger Zone. Danger Zone shows coming up this coming weekend again down in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and that's
Nice.
off the races.
Cool.
So, starting probably even later tonight, I'll be starting to, since I'm out to Coldwater now, I'll be doing, my Facebook Live after promoting the show on it, because we do have, we have this what's known as the beast mode rule that's in effect that makes the MMA an entirely different product, a much more action-packed, exciting type product. So,
Nice.
and we also even started up a management portion where we're going to start helping out some MMA fighters to actually achieve the dreams that they're looking for. Because I have a database that is phenomenal, and because my work means something. If I was to contact these various promoters to say, so here, he's a pretty good Joe, he's a good athlete, stuff like this, and he's entertaining outlet for you, they'll listen to me. They'll
Right.
give people some opportunities. But I'm not
Right.
going to do it for just anybody. It's got to be for someone that actually has those two abilities.
Right. Right. Well, that, by the way, is amazing that you are still involved in so many ventures, and
Yeah.
it's very, very cool, actually.
Right
Really,
now-
really amazing.
No, I have a 10,000 square foot trade facility in my property for one of Michigan, Michigan sports camps, and I
Wow.
do believe what I'm doing right now with my Danger Zone MMA company, it's predominantly, my MMA company is predominantly is just going after developing the amateur market. But at my trade facility, I'm also helping these amateurs with this beast mode rule to become strong, entertaining finishers. But on top of that, at my trade facility, they're learning how to cut promos. They're learning what it means to have ring presence,
Right.
how to drive that crowd crazy. Because the reality is, Do you want to fight just for the sake of fighting, or do you want to fight and actually make some money?
Right. Exactly.
So I'm marrying both elements of the MMA meets professional wrestling to a certain degree.
That's amazing.
Plus the
And
fact,
one of the best examples of that is Conor McGregor. He's the
yes,
top dog, making the top money, and there's a lot of people that don't like him. There's a lot of people that like him. Either way, he's moving the industry. And I
He
go,
would.
I go, he gets it. It's a business. He's going to go step under this cage and risk injury. He might as well make as much money as possible. If you go back to his very first couple matches, he was just simply happy to be there. He was happy to have won. He was happy to be off Ireland's version of welfare. And he listened when the crowd was reacting to something, they said to him, well, wow, what if I say a few more things? He has not created anything new. He has taken playbooks, pages out of other athletes' playbooks
Yes.
that they did. And
He's like.
other stuff is so old, it's new again, and he showed his own little twist. And I'll say he's being creative on some of the stuff there as well.
right.
He's very he's kind of like the MMA version of Steve Austin in a way where, the mouth. I mean, he is entertaining as hell. I don't know much about the MMA world because I don't watch it as much, but I do know Conor McGregor, and I do know what he says in his press conferences and anything that he's involved with. We pay attention basically
Yeah.
because he's freaking entertaining.
Well, yes, but it's exactly right. He's entertaining. He's doing. You don't know what the guy's going to show up and wear. You don't know what he's going to show up and do. You don't know what's going to come out of the man's mouth. Well, that's great. He is the perfect example to be utilized of
Yes.
doing this marriage of professional wrestling / MMA.
Yes, he is the perfect storm. Absolutely.
we-
Well, go ahead, John.
We got your book that's out. Want to make sure we definitely plug it as much as we can. The realest guy in the room, not the Enzo Amore big cast story for people listening at home. The realest guy in the room, pretty much the life of Dan Severn. Right now it's on Kindle for $9.99, $19.99, and hardcover on Amazon.com. And, you've been on the show 4 times now. We've been talking about making this book pretty much since the beginning. How good does it feel to finally have this book completely done and like doing book signings and all this craziness?
Guys, it's just I'll just say it's just the first book. There's so much more that never made it to the book, and it's
Right.
Ian Douglas, he helped me to kind of organize. I mean, he was even blown away when he would ask me certain questions because he's a big professional wrestling fan and MMA fan, so he just do that. So we're gonna make a good impression. Let's definitely jump on these 2 topics here and there, but there's so much more that I really want to get into, and I will probably, towards the end of 2017, I will probably start to work on book number 2. Going in, it'll
Nice.
probably come out sometime in 2018. I
Nice.
anticipate overall probably 3 books
Nice.
is what I'm looking at.
The Dan Severn trilogy, in a way.
Well, you could say it like this, but each one there's a purpose behind each one of the books, and at the end, I'll be out on the speaking circuit, trying to as a call it a motivational type speaker, call it a corporate type speaker. But to me, it's like I don't pussyfoot around things. I am the guy that I'm not politically correct. I am the one. I am the guy that's going to probably call a spade a spade. And people are afraid to do those things. I'm not afraid. I'm comfortable in my skin.
That's because you could. That's because you could handle anybody. That's
No. I'll tell people, I will engage in material banter here right now. I'm not going to.
Right.
The problem with a lot of young people is that they don't know how to really interact and converse.
Right. Absolutely.
Which is facts, figures, and things of that nature. It's okay to disagree. Just disagree on a more intellectual type of a level. That's all.
Right. Yeah. Well, once again, sir, it has been amazing having you on the show. We wish you nothing but massive success on this book. We will be plugging it for weeks to come. And
I do
thank
have
you so
one more question for you, and this has been a
Okay.
question that I've been wondering for a while, Dan. If I had a
Shoot
bicycle,
away.
if I had a bicycle and I travel 10 miles per hour, and a train travels at 50 miles per hour,
Three. Three. Three.
okay,
You know,
seriously,
I mean,
what,
had I known that Big John McCarthy was microphone, I probably would have never said that. Now, but because for the very first time I climbed into that cage, John is very professional. He does the exact same routine each and every time we walk through the court. He talks to you, the competitor first, and as he gets to the end of his little spiel there with you, he always looks at you and goes, "Are there any questions?" And then then he turns and he talks to the recorder first. So my first time in there, he gets that point. Are there any questions? I can't think of that. But as he turned it away, I simply just blurted out, "Where did all that money go that my parents paid for piano lessons?" He said he heard it, but when he turned back to look at me, he says, "It couldn't have come from me because I had my game face on. So, but, at each time I came up with a one-liner, so obviously, I was knowing that John was going to come over to his duties. What kind of goodie can I dish up for this time? And I've had a good rapport with his family in the sense that, at first, when I did the first time, he actually tells his wife, Elaine, that this guy's crazy. He's cutting off, coming off with one-liners before his match, and I was looking sometimes before, sometimes after, sometimes in the middle of my match. I was actually thinking, there was one time I was underneath that Chevron for, I think, 6-7 minutes before I actually neutralized the top fighter. He couldn't do nothing to me. And each time he tried to do something, I hugged on so tight that Ken couldn't get any kind of shot out of his face. And as John's crunched down to watch all of this, I popped my head out from underneath Ken's body, and I looked right up at John, and I go, "It's a hell of a way to make a buck, isn't it?" And I popped my back underneath there, and John just couldn't believe that I had that kind of mental, I don't know, or mentally insane. I don't think, but that
Mental wit.
fortitude.
Yeah.
That in order just to say stuff like that and then go right back to work.
Well, that's what makes you Dan the Beast Severn, I guess.
Yeah.
And once again,
That's what makes me the realest fan in the room. That's what it does.
exactly. Thank you so much, Dan, for being on our show, sir. And of course, as always, you are more than welcome to return and entertain us some more.
Well, last thing I'll leave the folks out there. If you want to know more about me, go to my website, dansevern.com. And then even I've got some of my social medias that are there. But last plug there for Major Zone MMA event that's coming Saturday night down in Fort Wayne, Indiana. If you want more information, go to Facebook page, Major Zone MMA. And we actually are doing live internet pay-per-view on top of it. So for
Nice.
$10, I think there's about 16 or 17 matches that are slated. So see
Wow.
the future stars today.
Let's keep in mind, Dan, that you have to defeat Diamond Dallas Page in appearances, so we'll keep them coming.
I'm going to I'll limber myself up, secretly looking over his what real men do yoga, his yoga routine there. That give me the insight edge there out there. So it'll be head to head right now. Diamond Dallas Page versus the Page.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Have a good evening and awesome. Thank you, sir.
Take care, guys. Bye.
The one and only Dan the Beast Severn. He will one day defeat Diamond Dallas Page on the show.
it probably will. I mean, DDP is getting harder to get on the show nowadays, so.
I will say that DDP will be in the Hall of Fame before Dan the Beast Severn, so he does have that going for him, aside from the yoga.
Yeah, this Hall of Fame class looks amazing. Just gotta say that real quick.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. But it is what it is nowadays. But yeah, it looks pretty good. I can't wait for it. It's WrestleMania season and all that, so it's going to be good. I think the Byron and everybody else is gone. Um,
They always run when Dan's coming in the room, man. I'm
they
noticing.
always do. They always do, actually. But anyway, thank you very much for listening. We are completely out of time. The man who sleeps on the floor cannot possibly fall out of bed. Good night.
What that mouth do?